Good evening. I've just finished work and I've got a bit of a cold, so you'll have to excuse me. It is a cold. It's not, I won't mention the name, but if I say CVID, you'll understand what I'm saying, I'm sure. But yeah, me and my friend was talking today in work, and we were talking about these 15-minute cities where you will have everything within 15 minutes from where you live, and each city will be split up into zones. So, for instance, I live in Stonehouse, then you got Keam, then you have I live in Stonehouse, so you got Devonport and Keam, and if I want to drive through the zones, I have to go a certain way. I have to go over in the outskirts, and not cut through zones, which is kind of defeating the object when you think about why they're doing this, to supposedly save the planet, which is absolute nonsense, because it's going to burn more fuel driving around the whole outskirts of Plymouth just to get to a zone, because one zone might be on the opposite side of the city. Instead of cutting through, I have to drive all the way around, which just doesn't make sense. But tell me when we lived in a world that made any sense, to be honest. Anyway, we were having this conversation about these 15-minute cities, and we both agreed that CVID was a test bed for what they will release later. They will release the real, well, the real one, which will take out probably 90% of us. That was just a test bed to see how we would react, how compliant we would be. And you know the scary thing is that I think they're going to get these 15-minute cities in place first. It doesn't bear thinking about it, really, but they're going to get these 15-minute cities in place first before they release the big one, and then they'll be able to control each zone easier than controlling the old city, because the old city will be open and people will be free to go where they want and roam where they want. Whereas if we're all locked down to our zones, and we're under lockdown, then you won't be allowed out of your zone at all. And if you do, it'll be easier to track you. And that's why they want us microchipped, so that when we're in our zones, if you go out of your zones, you won't be able to get away with it, because the satellite will pinpoint you. Oh, you're 2 zones away or whatever, wherever you are, but you're not in your zone, so you'll be fined. And if there's a pandemic, then you'll be arrested. And it's crazy. And in China, they got this social credit system where if you step out of line, and if your credit score falls too low, you can't even get on public transport. I mean, and that's what's coming here, and they've already said that. So, but imagine a world, just stop and imagine a world where we live like that, and we all got ID cards, so that's probably where it's going to start. But eventually, I think the ultimate goal is they want us all microchipped. It's only the size of a grain of rice, fits in between your thumb and your forefinger. I don't want that. Game over. You're a total slave. This is getting more like the Hunger Games every day, isn't it? It's unbelievable. And ask yourself, is this the kind of world we want to leave for our children? I don't think so. I mean, I'm 58. I've had most of my life. But it's my children and the younger generation I feel sorry for, because they're having their future stolen from them. It's unbelievable. But can you imagine living in these zones, right? And then they bring out another version of CVID, or one with a completely different name, and they tell everyone, oh, it's really bad, we got to lock down, and you just won't be able to move and do anything. It's going to be crazy. You won't be able to take the kids out anywhere for the day out, because it's too far out of your zone. And in amongst this social what they got in China, your social credit system. They might say, oh, Paul, or whatever your name is, you've had too much pizza, or your fat intake has been too high this week. That pizza you tried to buy for you and your missus, we rejected payment for it. You cannot have it because, you know, you're not being healthy. Or you've gone to the petrol station. Oh, sorry, we can't accept your payment. You can't have any petrol because you've used up your carbon credits. And when you start going down that lines, where does it end? Just where does it end? It's absolutely insane. But there is an easy solution. All we have to do is say no. No compliance. Doesn't have to be a revolution. Doesn't have to be any violence. All we have to do collectively is say N-O. No. Just don't play their game. You know, I've had none of the jibbies. None of them. And I never will. Because I've got an immune system. We were meant to believe that the common flu, it went on holiday for 2 years. It just took a vacation, you know. Crazy. And this CVID was so clever. If you went to the pub, it would hide and wait in the corner. And if you stayed 1 minute past 10, it would pounce on you. And if you went to a restaurant, you could take off your face mask, eat your dinner, and all the time you could take your time and yap to granny, yap to your brother and sister, do whatever. But the minute you put your knife and fork down and you finished, you'd have to put your mask back on because it would have you. I mean, come on. Must be the most cleverest. Wow, must be the cleverest virus ever known. It's unbelievable. Can actually think for itself. Can see what people's doing. I mean, really? Come on. So, you know, I just want to imagine and I want to paint a world of what's coming, what we're blindly walking into. Because this is the world we're walking into for us and our children. It's going to be like the Hunger Games. It really is. You know, you'll own nothing and be happy, they said. Remember that? You'll own nothing. They're saying that everything in the future will be rented. You won't be able to go out and buy a new TV, a new wash machine, a new car, even your clothes. Everything will be rented. So you'll be in this debt all the time, you know, paying for this, paying for that, paying for this. You'll own nothing. And that's what they meant by you'll own nothing and be happy. And then you got to live in these 50-minute zones. And whatever they decide they want to do to you, you'll have to comply. Because if you don't, they'll shut off your social credit system and then you won't be able to do nothing. Can't go anywhere, can't travel, you know. But that's our long-term aims. If you look into it, is no one will be able to fly on holiday, only commercial. No one will be able to take a boat, ferry, and it'll only commercial. That's their plans. They want all the cars off the roads. But you know, do your own research, and before you think I'm crazy, those of you that know me well, has followed me for years, know that I've been warning people for more than 20 years now that they would kill us, they would reduce our numbers by the jibs, yeah, famine and war. And what are we seeing right now? You don't see it on the BBC or the mainstream news. No, you don't. But if you follow our alternative news channels, you'll see exactly what's going on, and they're not covering half of it. It's crazy. But this CVID problem apparently is gone. It's just disappeared. It's shut down. It's no longer a problem, they said, which is absolutely nuts. But also, if you look on my wall, you'll see there's been a massive conference, investigation, news thing. I think it's 7 hours long into part 1 is 4 hours or 3 hours, and part 2 is 4 hours. But they're trying to they've investigated it, and they're trying to bring about the Nuremberg 2.0 trials, and they're saying that these lockdowns and this CVID was all planned in 1990, so they knew exactly what they were doing. And when you think how many people's fallen to this, who's gone, they had the jibs because they wanted to go on holiday. I mean, people had their reasons, and I kind of feel sorry for some people who's took it for unselfish reasons because they didn't want to. They wanted to protect their children or their granny and their loved ones, and some nurses and other professions took it because they wanted to keep their job, but they were duped. The biggest con ever perpetrated on mankind. Unbelievable. Such evil. But they will come to trial. But just remember, folks, all we have to do is say no. It's good enjoying your life with your kids and with your loved ones and with your family, but just be aware of what's going on around you, because they're very crafty. Rather than implement all this in a day or very soon, it would become obvious. What they do is they implement it a little bit at a time so you don't notice. And then by the time you do notice, bang, it's too late. But anyway, love and peace to everyone.